So, welcome back. And in this one, it's redeveloping the Scenic break, as was described in the previous video at the end. So what are we going to be doing? Well, to be honest, we didn't get a lot done. And this is the reason why. This shed was absolutely packed because I was decorating and I needed to move stuff and store it somewhere. And the only spot was the shed. So this was the area that I talked about. And when we did get modelling, this is the area that I worked on. So what we're going to be doing? Well, we'll show you that we started this area. We'll show you the problems that we had. And then, well, we'll show you the solution we came up with. So, first job was to dismantle this area. Take the trees out, put them to one side. I started putting them on pieces of polystyrene so that I could sell them. Quick rip out. Some were easier to come out than others, but eventually this section would all get done. Why am I getting rid of these trees? Well, I've started making my own trees and I tend to like them more. They're a lot bigger, so they're more realistic. So, let's start on this section. Trees all gone. What will we do next? Well, we'll take out the walls. Yep. I had a rethink. We might destroy the sub base, so first job is make a template. So throw a few sheets of paper down, stick them all together, draw the shape that I want, and you end up with a template of the area. It might be looking rough, but it was good enough to make the section of board that was going to replace the subsurface. And here's the board. A little bit big, but it can be trimmed in. And, well, next job. Take out the walls and the subsurface. The walls came out pretty easy. A lot easier than I thought they would. And being careful not to destroy the farm gate. Out they came. This was the one that I thought I'd struggle with, but as you can see, it came out really easy. And the final bit here. Now let's get rid of this subsurface. Oh, it's going to be one of those that breaks and puts polystyrene balls all over the spot. It'll be a Hoover job after this. But on the whole, it seemed to come out reasonably easy. Well, with a bit of force from a chisel, which does make all the difference. Now, back to trying the board in. And yep, a good fit. So, that's the area. It needed to be flat. Most halls have flat gardens, and this is the hall that I started making. You'll see a video of the construction of this coming up later on in the series. As you can see, it wasn't going to fit. So, more templates. New board to be cut, and said board cut and placed in. Now, let's try it again. Holes are big. And well, you can see where I've marked the road. It's not going to work. Where can I put it? After building so much of it, I wasn't about to destroy it. The opposite corner, which was an area that I thought, yes, that's finished, was the obvious spot. And you can see it is well developed, complete, but you could never see this house. So that was another reason. Remove all the trees yet again, and we will dismantle this area. This was a bit more tougher to get out, but this house will go on the opposite side, which I've just destroyed. It's a shame because it looks good, but you never saw it there unless you looked really closely, and then that takes your eyes away from the trains. So, more destruction about to take place, and with the final piece being taken out with a bit of a struggle, and there it goes, and the fence getting ripped up, which will never be used again, we can try the hall in. Yes, this is going to work. It's far enough back, there's enough space before it, so now we need to make a template for a sub-base board here. It's quite a big area, so if you remember, I said I'd been decorating. I had some wallpaper left, so we'll use that as the template. Laying it out, creasing it at the back of the back seam, so I've got a rough mark where I can cut. The template was removed, turned over, and very carefully cutting along the crease, I could do it. Board made. It's quite low. Wasn't really expecting that. Though this led me to think, this cutting, how deep is it? It turns out it was 50 foot to the track level. Well, that would have been a tunnel. No engineering company for a railway would have dug out that much. So I cut it down and made it 30 feet, a bit more realistic. Finished off the board with an extra piece at the end and tried the hall. There's still quite a bit to go on this hall, it's not actually that size. But what am I doing here? Well, I needed to find the centre of balance because it's going to be a lift out piece, and the reason for this is there's a track under there. I could never get in to clean it, and hence I had problems with the trains running on it. So, having watched Station Road, Julian uses quite a few areas that he lifts out, and this makes perfect sense. So, with a captured nut on the underside and a bolt that screws in on the top, it made it a lot easier to lift in and out. I tried the building on it to see how it balanced with that, and yes, the back comes up first, which is what I wanted. You can see here me putting it in. I won't be able to do that, but once all the other bits are fitted to it, I can remove it and put the bolt back in when needing to lift it out. With the back coming up first, it makes it easier. And this is the track I was on about. You can see from the state of it here, it's dirty, shall we say. This is the branch line, and it just goes to a dead end. The auto coach will run along here. It was quite easier to get to until, well, you saw that landform that I put across the front. The next job, get the road back up to the level. So yes, you guessed it, more demolition. Walls cut, road surface moved and removed, and we need to put a piece of plasticard in there. It needs to be thin. I'm going to mark the road where I think it should go. It will turn off up here, and it'll turn off there, and here will be the entrance to the hall. So I need to cut this to size now. Quick mark, find out where the other edge is. This isn't going to be attached to the module. We're happily deciding that we're happy now and filling with some grab adhesive the gaps underneath to stabilise it. We won't have a hollow that you just saw. It needs to be more of a hump. Cars don't like hitting sharp edges. So rather than put packing under there, a quick bit of gunk, a bit of super glue down that end to ensure that it glues on firmly, and a quick press, and we've got our, well, no, we haven't. It needs a bit more. Yep, there's the hump I was looking for. Not drastic, but enough that vehicles would be able to travel along it. Yes, we're happy with that. So, what's next? Well, we reinstate a wall at the back, and now we need to put a wall at the front edge. Most walls are built with the bricks going level, so hence why I've got to cut a large piece of Will's plasticard, coarse stone, at an angle so that the bricks remain level. Here's the first piece, and now we'll mark the second piece. Another big sheet. It's costly, but if you look for realistic models, you need to do it. And here's the finished product, both sides, and now installed. Didn't take too long. But what's this? A gap at the back. Didn't do that plasticard big enough, did I? But it's not going to be seen. So a quick infill with another piece of plasticard glued to it, and the job's done. Now, what am I doing here? Well, most country estates have walls. Keep the riffraff out, as they say. So, here I am, making a wall. But it's not stone, you say. No, it isn't. But two pieces of plasticard next to each other just aren't thick enough for the coping stones that I have to go on the top. So I need to make it thicker. And to do this, I've got some plastic very thin strip that I'm going to use as a packing piece. And to enable it to sit as part of the module, it is going to slip down in front of the cliffs. Hence the piece that sticks down a little bit further, it gets glued to that front edge of the module. So with it trialled, we can now take the module outside and start installing the wall. instead of reaching all the way over, we can now build it just wherever we want. Here's the said wall being placed into position on the front of the module. And because we can do this now, we can take the wall off and put the internal brickwork on. Quick clips just to hold it in, and a bit of active. And here you see the glue being applied to the areas where the wall will actually sit. Far easier to work like this, not having to stretch over the whole of the railway. Activator used, get the curve right, and here you can see, now this is the capping stone I was on about. You see how thick it is. 2 pieces of stone walling wouldn't have been enough, and there's a few pieces there. Now what we're going to do here, well, this is where we put some cling film against the wall, and we can finish off the cliff area. Plenty of filler going in. Cling film used so that it won't stick to the actual module. So hopefully when I lift it out, it won't all rip away. Once the top area had been done, we need to fill all the cracks that were created and the holes when I reduced the size of the cliff cutting. It looks a bit fiddly, but because it looks rough, it tends to blend it all in. You will see from one of my previous videos, one of the early ones where I made a massive cliff next to the canal and railway line and viaduct, that you can't tell that it's made out of numerous pieces. So with that all completed, it's now been left to dry. So what's next? Well, I'll probably finish off the hall. Lots to do there. So that'll probably be the next video. So thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, it all helps the channel and lets other people view. The more people that like it, the more YouTube will push it out. Thank you.